Yeah, it's a lovely afternoon once again. And we come to you live from Emole National Park, the home of nature. Today, we are still on our elephants. But the main focus of today's activity is on the feeding behavior of the elephant. What does the elephant feed on? Why does the elephant feed on that particular thing he's feeding on? Now, we know that the elephant is a mixed feeder. That was established the last time we met. But before we proceed with today's activity, since we are in the COVID period, we'll still want to remind ourselves of all the precautions that have been put in place by the authorities. That you don't go out when you need not go out, but when you need to go out, please do not forget to go out in a nose mask, and also get for yourself a pocket-sized hand sanitizer so that is able to help you protect you from contracting any virus that there may be. So without talking much, I am once again here with my colleague and friend Osman, and he's going to take us through currently what the elephant is feeding on. We'll take some footsteps or some movements with the elephant, and then we'll learn what he's feeding on and why he's feeding on what he's feeding on. So Mr. Osman, we have our very good friend here with us, and we know he's feeding on something. What is he feeding on, and why is he feeding on it?
Currently, what the elephant is feeding on now is Vitellaria paradoxa, commonly known as the shea tree. The shea tree is one of the favorite plants for elephant in Mole National Park. If you come to Mole National Park, most of the plants we have here, the shea tree does not. Hey,
Oh God, such a wonderful encounter. Yes, we breached the protocol of the elephant, and he says, no, don't come closer to me. Wow, what a lovely day.
this is one of the good experience you get from elephants when you go closer to them. A few moments.
So we are following our friend, and we are with him. We went too much of a distance to him in talking, so we'll just keep our distance. You hear the belching, he's communicating with his other friends. So he's trying to trace where his other colleagues are, and apparently we're standing on the communication pattern of these species, so he has to move us away so he's able to know where his colleagues are. But we are here with him. He stopped feeding, and as we said, we are going to look at the feeding pattern and what he's feeding on. So we'll move with him. When he feeds, we talk about it. But Osman,
Yes.
early on he was feeding on the shea tree.
Yes.
So what can you say about the shea tree the elephant was feeding on?
The shea tree, and the scientific name is Vitellaria paradoxa. It's one of the commercial trees we have in the north here. As compared to the southern sector, they have coffee, cocoa, and others. But the elephant will not allow the shea tree to be matured before other organisms also get used to the shea tree. As you can see, earlier on, it was feeding on the root. And the root, what it does is it just use the trunk, use it to hit the head. The purpose of it is to shake off the sun. Then they get access to the root. Afterwards, it came back to feed on the leaves. because there weren't fruit in the sampling. So now it's moving to select another plant that it wants to eat. We don't determine the food the elephant eats, because the diet of an elephant comes from a variety of plants, grass, leaves, twigs, palms, shrubs, and other things you find of. So now, as we go closer, we are very cautious about our movement because we had an encounter with it, so we don't want to go closer. So there's another variety of plant it's going closer to. That is another Vitellaria paradoxa. That's a shea tree. That's a sampling. Today it has decided for this hour to feed on the shea tree. The shea tree also have economic importance to the people of the north here. In June, this is the time they are picking the seeds, and the elephant, this is the time they also get about feeding on the fruit. So it makes it more difficult for our women to get access to this shea fruit. Now it has taken its time to select and pick, either to go for the leaves or to go for the roots. So it's watching us while flapping the ears, and also carefully dangling the tail, flapping the ears, and enjoying the food he wants to eat.
Okay, so he's feeding on shea nuts or the shea tree. And as he said, it's of economic importance. So if you are home and you always request for the shea butter, it is each tree that the elephant is feeding on. But we also know in the park that the elephant accounts for the dispersal of about 24 different plant species in the park. Now, we know what dispersal of seedling are, or dispersal of seeds are, and it's important in our environment, and it's important in the ecosystem. So if an animal like the elephant could account for the dispersal of about 24 of them, then we believe it's of much environmental importance to us as conservationists. So like it is feeding on the shea tree. If the tree were to be fruiting and had seeds or fruits on it, the elephant would have fed on it. The seed would have gotten into its tummy. We know, or we understood from our previous lectures, that the elephant has a bad or a poor digestive system, and that means those seeds were not going to be digested properly. When he poos, then that particular seed is left there to germinate. So you realize that the first one he was feeding on, and this one that he's feeding on now, could be said that yes, it may have occurred from the dispersal of seeds from the elephant. So because the elephant informed us that he doesn't really want us closer, we could not really get closer, but this is what we are talking about. So this is a young shea tree. So this is what the elephant was feeding on. Now it is not fruiting, so he feeds on the leaves, and at times is able to uproot it and also feed on the roots of it. So this is the shea tree we are talking about that the elephant is feeding on at the moment.
Generally, the elephant feed 12 to 18 hours, and the bull elephant weighing 5 tons will need 400 kilograms of food a day. And a cow, a female elephant will need, going for 2 tons, will need 160 kilograms of food a day.
So we've just known the food that he eats and is required. At the moment he's feeding on
mint.
The mint. Yes, this is an invasive species that invades the territory of other species. Initially, the elephant was not feeding on the mint, but now it has evolved its feeding behavior, and it is now the mint is one of the favorite food of the elephant. Again, as said, we can't really go closer to the elephant now because we have to maintain about 50 meters distance with the elephant. So for that, at least we have some mint tree here. The mint plant is here. We'll talk about it so that you see. So this is the mint plant. This is what the elephant is feeding on at the moment.
Before, this wild mint was not found here. But because elephant needed the wild mint, they have to bring them here. So now it has become one of the invasive plants we have at the Muli National Park here.
Again, this also talks about the dispersal characteristics of the elephant. As my colleague said early on, the mint was not in the park. The elephant went out and then it brought the mint in. It fed on it, came to poo in the park. Some of the seed got stuck on the elephant. It brought into the park, and some other species, and now we have the mint at a lot of places in the park. And since it was something it was not feeding on, but now it has occupied the space of some of the things he feeds on, he has no problem than to start feeding on the mint. So now the elephant has changed what he's eating or what he's feeding on. We are trying to get closer to see exactly what he's feeding on, and then we talk about what he's feeding on.
From this distance, I'll be able to say with authority that this is Pilostigma toningii. That's what the elephant is feeding on now. And this Pilostigma toningii is also one of the favorite leaves the elephant will always go in for. Not only the leaves, sometimes they go in for the bark of the tree, because the fiber that contained in that bark help the elephant to release the constipation that elephant is feeling in its body. So every time you see the elephant feeding on the Pilostigma toningii, it will end up by feeding on the back of it, and the fiber in the Pilostigma also help to ease the constipation.
Really? Wow, nature is interesting. So constipation is not only felt by human beings, but animals also do feel constipation. And the elephant, our very good friend, also constipates. So it's just to aid the elephant and prevent constipation, he knows what to feed on. Such an interesting species, such a knowledgeable species. He knows what to eat and at what time and for what purpose. How is your feeding pattern at home? Do you just eat anything? Do you just feed on anything because it's available for you to eat? Or you are selective of what you eat so that you are able to get maximum benefit and maximum importance to your body system and for your growth and for a healthy body, for a healthy Ghana. The elephant is teaching us much more and a lot. I don't just feed on anything, but I feed on something I need to feed on of a particular importance.
You get to, the elephant, their peak time of feeding is at dawn and at dusk. But now you can see that the elephant is feeding after noon. Yes, because of the peaceful atmosphere it's enjoying. That's why you see it feeding. But the elephant now, ideally should have been found around water holes. But as you know, the leaves that they are browsing now contain a lot of water. So the intake of water in these leaves will permit it to stay away from water for a longer time. In the dry season, they need to stay closer to water because the intake of the leaf that they feed on contain less of water, thereby will always urge them to go closer to water to drink and to cool off the system. Now the weather is cold and there's much leaves that contain a lot of water, so the elephant will stay on the hilly place, not found not found closer to the water holes.
So Osman, if we look at the elephant is telling us as human beings, when we are being told that yes, there's a need for us to drink water every day, a lot of water every day. And there are some individuals who do not see the importance of water. But I believe today the elephant is telling us yes, water is very, very necessary, water is important. If I cannot go to the water hole to drink water, and I can't get water from the plant, yes, I'll get the water and also make sure I am okay. So another advice to us, let's learn to take in more water. because if we take in more water, it is going to be of utmost benefit and utmost importance to us. So
Yes.
water is key to our
Yes,
survival.
elephant need about 217 liters of water a day, also, or 60 gallons of water. However, the elephant a day can afford to go without water when they are on a trip to another point. Without water, they will be able to go without water a day.
Yeah, so when he says they'll be able to go without water, that means the elephant had prepared adequately before embarking on that particular trip. Now, before species migrate or they embark on a particular trip, they calculate the distance and what they will need and the probability of availability of food and water before they move. So if they are going to travel for, let's say, 30 hours, and they know that the probability of where they are going to, there'll be no water, there'll be no food, then there's a need for them to fill in their system with more water and more food before they embark on that particular journey, so that the food they have eaten and the water they have taken in would be able to last them the journey, the period they are going. And that is how Cambets are able to fly from Ghana to Spain across the Atlantic Ocean. And somebody will wonder, won't they feed? Won't they drink water? Yes, it is because they are prepared adequately before they embark on this particular journey. And we are seeing this. So, relatively, this particular plant will be one of the plants the elephant will really prefer to feed on, even on a journey if it should find food without water, because this particular plant will provide it with the needed amount of water that it needs in the system to be able to survive.
Much as they also need the food, they use the leaves, the grass, and others as food. They also use some of the leaves as medicinal. Sometimes you will see elephant come with a lot of injuries. And what they do is they will select a particular plant, they'll debug it, diffuse the water, and use the water to spray it on the affected area, thereby driving away the flies that will disturb them. And when you feel that this time they need to go to the water to wash the shore and drink the water, they come out and still have to repeat what they have done previously, because they will go debug the tree, infuse the water, and then splash the water on the affected area. We've seen that several times, but unfortunately for now, they are seriously feeding just to fill the belly.
Okay, so just to reiterate to the point my colleague has just made, you know, some of us know of the champon when we're growing, that when you are wounded, our parents will go pluck the leaves and then they will grind it and then they will put it on the sore or the wounded part so that at least it aids in healing. So we know that plants helps in healing processes. Now the elephant has been able to also notice this importance of these plants. So when the elephant is wounded, how does he heal itself? He becomes his own doctor. He has been trained, and therefore he goes to a particular selected species. He either chews it and then splash what he has chewed onto the wounded part, just to be able to cover the portion, to prevent insects from resting on it, and also to facilitate healing of the wound so that you are okay. Isn't this interesting?
Much as the elephants are destructive animals in nature, they also help to propagate many species of plants that are now found in particular areas. So when you see elephant destroying a particular location, don't be bothered so much. They are also bringing more new species that are valuable to other species to feed on.
Wow. Yeah. If you are listening and if you are watching to us and you have any question too, you can feel free and let the question flow. We see our best to be able to address one or two questions. We follow our friend for for some time, and then we call it a day.
because the elephant is still feeding on the Pilostigma toningii, we will not be able to show you, to zoom to you that particular plant. We will have to locate one at the back to show you the plant is feeding on.
Okay, so as characteristic of us,
I don't know.
we believe that education is the key, education is the point. So let's go and necessarily see what the elephant was feeding on, so that you would be able to understand for yourself what species we're talking about. So this
is the Pilostigma toningii, and the common name is camel foot. The leaves, when it open, it look like camel foot. And for the tourists, they prefer to call it camel foot than Pilostigma toningii, because they see the exact what it means when you call it camel foot. And this particular plant, also, we use the fiber as a rope. When you go to the farm and you don't have a rope, what you need to do is to cut it and take the fiber. And the fiber, you can use it to carry your logs to the house, your yams, cassava, and other things, whatever you feel like carrying without a rope. The Pilostigma toningii will aid you to do that. And when it has fruits, the fruit are also used to bake soap in connection with the shea butter. What you need to do is you take the fruit, dry it, and burn it to ash, distill the water, boil it, and then you add the shea butter, stir it, then you make your local soap.
So early on, before we came live, the elephant was feeding on one particular plant species, which it also aids in dispersal. So we talk about that for a brief moment, and then we'll bring our journey to a close. Wait a minute, as some people would want to call it. Others will also want to call it, when you go, you come back. Very nice, interesting fruits. Osman, what are we looking at?
We are looking at Ziziphus mauritiana. And this was what exactly I was saying. When the elephant has a wound, they don't need the leaves. They will come, debug the tree, chew the fiber, infuse the water, and use the water to spread around the wounds, just to suck away flies that would disturb them. So what we are taking, the benefit we are getting from this and the elephant is that the water, the water from this also will be able to cure a wound of a human.
Okay, so my brother Osman feels that since this particular plant is able to engineer some healing process in the elephant, definitely it should be able to do same in human beings. But it has a nice fruit. It is very sweet. Very, very, very sweet. And because of that, most of the times the baboons refuse to allow it redden or ripe. And even the elephant himself, he likes feeding on this particular fruit very well. Okay, so just the footprints of the elephant. In case you have not seen the footprints of the elephant, as we bring ourselves to a close to see what the footprints of the elephant is. Again, he fed on this. Osman, what is this?
This is Cumbrentum adenogodium. This particular plant, they prefer to feed on it between March and April. That time we don't have enough food for the elephant to eat. What they need to do is to eat food that will be able to sustain them for a number of hours. So they believe the fruit of the Cumbrentum will be able to do exactly what they wanted. So now you have seen that they fed on the leaves, but did not stay here longer because we are coming so closer that deterred it away from us. So this cumbrentum, in March, April, wherever these particular plants are dominating, your chances of seeing the elephant are higher. So whenever we are in search of elephant from March to April, we also consider the locations of these particular plants where they are dominating.
Wow. So this particular plant also aids in tracking, automatic or local tracking of the species. And this particular plant is also telling us, okay, so I'm giving between rice and school soldier, that is red, gari and beans. Which one would I go for? By all means, I'm going for gari and beans because I know that when I take in the gari and beans, it will sustain me for a longer period than the rice. Right? That is what the elephant is telling us. We believe today we have been able to learn a lot from the animal called the elephant, or the species called the elephant. We are much grateful that you joined us. We are much grateful that you followed us to enjoy nature. We believe we have learned a lot. Again, we say that during this particular period, you don't necessarily needlessly go out. And if you want to go out, please go out in your nose masks and get for yourself a pocket-sized hand sanitizer, so that in case you touch any surface, you are able to clean yourself and wipe yourself of any virus before you take it home. Please stay home, stay safe, continue to enjoy nature, and we believe that when the park is officially reopened after this particular pandemic, we'll meet in Bean to now see and enjoy what we're enjoying here. But until then, stay at home, stay safe, and continue to stay blessed. Thank you very much.